Hello, welcome, and this will be uh, the big one. Each of us have our list of our 10 favorite movies of all time. I'm not sure. Are yours in order, guys?
Yeah, mine are in
Yeah,
order.
pretty much.
Because aside from my number one, I can interchange them.
Yeah,
So basically,
number one's definite.
the way we're going to do this is going to be round the robin style. I'm expecting not much overlap.
Yeah, we're all gonna be different. I'm betting.
So,
You guys are gonna hate
Kevin,
my
you've
list.
been really quiet. Why don't you go first with your number 10?
All right, my number 10 is Harold and Maude. Interesting choice.
Good choice.
What I like about this movie, it's this like whole approach on like death as a satire and like suicide, and the soundtrack by Cat Stevens always hooks me. But it's just so hysterical whenever the mom tries to hook up Harold with a date, and he always ends up doing something to kill himself. My favorite death of his was when she brings a girl and Harold's just outside, like putting out the lawn chair, putting on the raincoat, just like pouring gasoline and burning himself, and then like walks in a couple minutes later and she's like, screaming off. Oh, that's great. And I really like Hal Ashby's directing and how he really focuses more on the character and the and like delivering the jokes that were in. But yeah, that's my number 10.
Sean?
Okay, so my number 10 is the first Shrek film. I know everyone loves the second one more, but me personally, my personal favorite's always been the first one. It's my favorite from DreamWorks, and I'm more of a Pixar guy than DreamWorks, but this is my favorite DreamWorks film.
I think everybody's a Pixar guy than a DreamWorks person.
Yeah,
All
but
we know is Pixar's been in a
if
really
Monsters University
mediocre run
isn't
lately.
good, I might switch over to DreamWorks.
Monsters University, I've seen, has only gotten like 71 on Rotten Tomatoes, and reviews still aren't as big as like Toy Story 3.
As long as it's better
Again,
than Cars.
Cars 2, but yeah, better than that.
Anyway,
Shrek. Yeah, it just works in many ways. Like terrific voice cast. Yeah, it's a great film. It's my number 10.
Well, speaking of Pixar, my number 10 movie is also my favorite animated movie ever, and that's The Incredibles. Most of the reasons I've mentioned on previous podcasts, it works on multiple levels. It's a great comedy, it's a great action movie, it's a great family movie, it's a great superhero movie. It touches on a lot of different superhero stories, actual comic book superhero stories, but never feels like a patchwork mishmash of them. Everything feels perfectly blended together, and I love it all around for all reasons. And it has and it also has something I think some recent animated movies sometimes miss, in that its animation has like a real like art style to it that's memorable and distinctive.
my number 10 is Dead Ringers, which is directed by David Cronenberg, who is one of my favorite directors, and this is actually my favorite movie of his. Mostly because Jeremy Irons, I think that's the best performance ever in any of his movies. I don't know how he didn't win Best Actor or get nominated. But this is just what I love about this movie is that even though Cronenberg is known for this very kind of supernatural, well, I shouldn't say supernatural, sci-fi horror that's more out there, this is a very grounded body horror, but it's effed up beyond all belief. I think the last 20 minutes of this are probably the most traumatizing of his work. Although I think if you want to take a film on the whole, I think The Brood is his most disturbing. But yeah, I just love this movie. All the hospital machinery, the music, and of course the two performances. And it's one guy. Jeremy Irons plays two guys, and he makes them both different, with different nuances, different speech patterns, and it's just an awesome movie. Even if you're not a horror fan, I encourage you to check it out. But I will warn you, you should be ready for what you're about to see.
My number 9 is Midnight in Paris.
Really?
Yeah. Like a curveball.
That was I don't know. Dead Ringers is kind of a curveball. But that was 2 years ago, really.
You know.
Yeah, my love for Midnight in Paris came about in college when my roommate would want to watch that constantly and constantly. And I like the movie, so I said, why not? And every time, there's always something new that just grabs my attention. And, like, one of my favorite characters that Woody Allen brings to life is Ernest Hemingway. And how... And what?
Dolly.
Oh, and Dolly... But no, like, it's just so magical, and it's one of those, like, really interesting romantic comedies that are rare nowadays, and that doesn't follow, like, the typical cliche, and it adds its own, like, interesting take on, like, a city. And what I like is when he focuses on a for the plot, which he does a lot in terms of New York. But the one of his that I really disliked was When in Rome.
Oh, that was awful.
Yeah, that was bad.
What happened, Woody?
He's always like that. He always has, like, you know, a great classic movie, and then he'll go a bad one, then he'll jump back with a classic.
Yeah.
Except in the 70s, I think he was very consistent.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Owen Wilson didn't get enough recognition for his role in this film, because he was spot on.
Yeah, and I was kind of nervous when they cast him. Because I'm not a big fan of his, but he was great.
I love Owen Wilson.
I like him in Wedding Crashers, that's about it.
What about Bottle Rocket, Royal Tenenbaums?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of either of
You're
those.
speaking to the not-so-Wes Anderson fans here.
No, you're not the only one. I love Moonrise Kingdom.
Alright, good. Moonrise Kingdom was the best.
And Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, Fantastic Mr. Fox is...
I've seen Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Mm-hmm.
Royal Tenenbaums. That was shit.
Plus, Marion Cotillard is pretty.
I don't know, Rachel McAdams could play quite the bitch.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen our Mean Girls, right?
Yeah,
I've never seen Mean Girls.
And Michael... What? And Michael Sheen is a great pedantic. As they keep constantly referring to him as.
Yeah.
All right, Sean?
Okay, my number 9 is, I guess, and it's my personal favorite of the Indiana Jones franchise, and I guess my favorite Spielberg movie. It's not Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's The Last Crusade.
Oh.
I guess you can probably guess why. It's mainly because of Sean Connery, who was just perfect casting. I should have sent it to the Marx Brothers.
It was melodramatic.
Anyway, again, this series was, partly inspired by James Bond, and again, it's perfect that they cast the original and the best James Bond as Indiana Jones' father. He and Harrison Ford work great together, and probably at the end of the day, Raiders of the Lost Ark is still probably the best Indiana Jones film, but this is my personal favorite.
Damn it. It used to be my favorite for a while.
Mine too, but I think Raiders is the best action of the four. But I think I like Last Crusade.
Agree.
Last Crusade, I think it's more pulpy. And it
also adds a lot of emotional resonance.
And there's a lot of mysticism in that, and in Raiders. Like Temple of Doom, you don't get that, which is probably why I don't like it.
But yeah, but
well, again, Temple of Doom is the one where they had it PG, but then everyone was like, "Dude, this is no PG movie." So obviously that's why it created the PG-13 rating, and Last Crusade is the first of the first PG-13 rated Indiana Jones film, which doesn't. If you think about it, Raiders of the Lost Ark today would have gone on PG-13 rating too. So
yeah. Even Last Crusade.
I still can't believe Raiders and Temple of Doom could have easily gotten an R. Also,
I think Temple of Doom should have gotten an R. You see a guy's heart getting ripped out.
Probably.
And speaking of Spielberg movies that should have gotten probably an R rating, my number 9 movie is Jaws.
Yeah, that's another questionable call.
And everyone knows why Jaws is great. The 3 perfect leads, the theme music, it's like creature movies, horror movies like this are usually so cheap and so corny, but Spielberg figured out, and the Peter Benchley novel, and I forget who wrote the script, they figured out a way to make a creature feature that was serious, but also suspensefully scary at the same time. And I mean, most people say their favorite scene is the Indianapolis speech, and I would agree with that. Not just because it's a great monologue and really creepy scene, but also because it sets up a mythology, like the mythology of the shark, like, it roams throughout the sea over the years, and it's always like that predator just waiting around to strike. So,
And
Jaws.
transfer, yo.
That way.
That Blu-ray transfer.
Oh, it's so awesome. It looked better than most 90s movies.
I'd say that and Aliens are the two best restorations.
Oh, yeah. that Alien Blu-ray.
My number 9 is the greatest, third greatest sequel of all time. That's The Godfather Part 2. I think it's better than the first one, and obviously better than the third one. It's two different movies in one, and both are perfect. It's got Pacino's best performance ever in a movie. It's got Robert De Niro being really introduced to the forefront as an actor, and it's a damn shame how far he's fallen. It's just awesome. The attention to period detail, the little nuances, the usage of the color orange, which I really noticed this time. The first one I noticed it, but not as much. The second one, they do it really well. And if I had to pick a favorite scene in the movie, it would be when Vito robs Don with the towel on fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's just great. It's a perfect movie.
Yeah. All right. So for my number 8, we've talked about this plenty, but Spider-Man 2.
Okay. Next.
Okay. So for my number 8, this is totally cheating here. The whole original Star Wars trilogy, and of course I'm referring to 4, 5, and 6, not the crappy prequels, and also the original unaltered films, not those friggin' special editions.
Preach it.
It's the only reason why I have not thrown out my VCR yet, because I have, again, copies of the original trilogy.
The VHSs.
I have them on DVD actually, unaltered.
You have those rare ones?
Yeah, I had to
to
pay some big money for them, but
Yeah, it must be, because again, we're all waiting for the original films unaltered, and of course we haven't gotten that yet.
But those DVDs are like they just slap the Laserdisc transfers.
yeah, but I don't mind
I
it.
heard they didn't transfer really well to DVD for those versions.
Well, because like for the special editions, they did a lot of extensive restoration, and cleaning up the prints and all. The original versions, literally, they just took the non-anamorphic Laserdisc versions and just put them on DVD. No restoration work, no cleaning up at all. It's just like, here, have it.
Seriously, is it that hard just to restore a friggin' film from the 70s? Really? Anyway, for the whole trilogy, that's one of those trilogies where I think all three are very good. Obviously, 4 is the one that started it all. Episode 5 is the best by far. And I actually think Return of the Jedi is actually kind of underrated. I mean, I know what everyone's talking about is the Ewok, and the fact that these small bears with no weapons at all. Well, not no weapons at all, but with these
I hate that.
rocks, stones, they managed to beat a friggin' empire. But the main reason I like it is because of the final fight between Luke and Vader, which has so much going for it. You know how Luke realizes after he chops off Vader's hand that he's slowly becoming his father again, and he talks to Palpatine, Emperor Palpatine. He's like, "I am a Jedi, like my father before me." Yeah, I think that's one of the best final fights ever. Even though Episode 5 obviously had one of the best cinematic twists ever, which of course was, "I am your father." But yeah. Prequels suck. Sorry, anyone who's a fan of those, but yeah.
I like one of them.
And it's not the one I like.
Yeah.
Which one do you like?
Phantom Menace. I think Phantom Menace is the best of the three.
For me, it's been episode 3, but yeah, and it's not by much. I mean, it's still nothing compared to.
I still think Return of the Jedi is the worst of all 6 films.
Really? For me, that's like Attack of the Clones, but yeah, original 3 Star Wars films. George Lucas, if you're listening, release the original unaltered films on Blu-ray. Damn it!
Stop fanning the flames, Matt.
Please see our Star Wars show.
Seriously, just.
My number 8 movie is also my favorite comedy of all time, and that's Animal House. Because
Great one.
there's very few comedies where almost every character is memorable for me. Almost every line of dialogue is memorable, and it's just a grand old time. There's no real plot to speak of. No moral compass, whatever. It's just freeform raunchiness, but it's raunchiness that clearly has smart people writing it too, and create memorable set pieces, and not just rely on gross out jokes like they do a lot today. They had actual humor and writing behind it too, which is what made it cleverly dumb. Which I think is a great way to describe it.
Speaking of comedy, my next one is my favorite straightforward comedy. I do have 2 films on this list that are higher up that have comedic elements, but I don't consider full comedies. I know a lot of people put Young Frankenstein as their favorite Mel Brooks films, but I recently had a switch. My number 8 is The Producers. Mostly because I think the premise of this is just so creative, where you got 2 guys who are down on their luck, who don't get along, that have this...
I'm sorry about that.
Gene Wilder and Zero Mostel have such great chemistry in this movie that the remake totally jettisons. And they try to make the worst musical ever, so that way it goes bankrupt and they pocket the money from the investors. I just find that so funny. And I find this movie freaking hilarious. I mean, the scene where they go to the neo-Nazis' house, I can't remember the actor's name. It escapes me, but they go to his house to secure the rights.
Like the actor, you mean?
Yeah.
Kenneth Mars.
Oh yeah, it is Kenneth Mars. One of my favorite sight gags in history with the helmet.
Yeah.
And you got Mr. Belvedere's in this movie. You got the character of they get a hippie to play Hitler using hippie dialogue. And Mel Brooks said, he's like, what better way to make fun of the Nazis than to make them into jokes? And my favorite scene in the movie is when they finish the music, and the one guy in the crowd gives the play a standing ovation. Everyone turns and looks at him, and they start throwing shit at him. It's a great comedy. I think it's my favorite Mel Brooks movie because of the premise, and I love Zero Mostel and Gene Wilder together. I think it's hilarious. Like the scene at the beginning where he's just yelling in his ear, and it's just great. Although I could have easily put Blazing Saddles or Young Frankenstein, and there's no one like Mel Brooks now. No one can get away with half the stuff he got away with in The Producers, and he has such a great repertoire of actors who really understood the material. The Zero Mostels, the Gene Wilders, the Harvey Kormans, the Dom DeLuise's, the Kenneth Mars of the world. It's my number 8. Love it to death.
Alright. My number 7 is Punch Drunk Love.
Go ahead.
It's alright. As we all know, or you guys know, I am an Adam Sandler supporter, but pre-Click, because anything after Click...
he went way downhill after Click. There was a little movie called Mr. Deeds.
I forget about that movie. I didn't care for it.
Neither did anyone else.
Oh my god. Yeah. No, but I mean, Adam Sandler pulls off a great performance. I like the story that Paul Thomas Anderson took from and expanded it to his own. And it's just the chemistry between him and what's the name of the actress?
Emily Watson.
That's what I wanted to say, but I didn't know if I was right. But yeah, she's the chemistry is great. Everybody's just great. Even Philip Seymour Hoffman, he's a terrific asshole.
Well, he's always a good actor.
Yeah. And I don't know, Punch Drunk Love is like one of those like personal favorites of mine by PTA, but I don't basically consider it his best film. I think so far for me his best film is Boogie Nights.
There Will Be Blood for me.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, The Master is a close second.
I still haven't fallen in love with The Master.
It takes a while.
I know. I've seen it like 5 times already, and I still can't love it. I mean, it's really good.
Then you won't get it.
My
If you don't get it after
God.
5 tries, I don't think you will.
Holy shit. Yeah, you might want to just, let it settle for a while.
Okay. Okay, for my number 7, it was, I think, either Augie's 9th or 10th, The Incredibles. Same thing that Augie said. Also, is the only Pixar sequel I can pick, only Pixar movie I can think of right now that it demands a sequel. They need to make that one.
They set it up.
Seriously. And yeah, that's it.
No more sequels, no more prequels. Just, yes, sequel. Make a sequel to
Make
this
The
one.
Incredibles 2, and then that's it.
The
Yeah,
only sequel that Pixar needs to make.
if
That's
you
it.
make that sequel, I'll be happy. I'll even welcome the announcement of it.
Hell,
my
I
number
want
7
I want a Doug movie.
Oh, what movie? Oh, Doug.
They already did that.
Oh, that's right.
My number 7 movie is Silence of the Lambs. It can be argued that from a pure filmmaking standpoint, it's the best horror movie ever made, from the acting to the music to the characters,
The mystery.
suspense, the mystery. It just everything clicks into place perfectly. I can't think of anything that is wrong with it. I can't think of any false moment.
Well, there is one issue.
What?
It led to Hannibal and Red Dragon.
Well, yeah. No, what can you do?
When the Pope die, you elect the new Pope.
It finds the perfect. Actually, you know what? I will say one thing. It finds the perfect spot where it's dark and it's gruesome, but it doesn't wallow in it. It's like when you're in like the quote unquote normal parts of the movie, when it's just with Clarice, it's certainly like a dread atmosphere that fills it, and it kind of unsettles you, but at the same time, you're with her along her journey. But it's like one of those kind of movies where you're digging deep and deeper into the filth until she's thrown right literally into the darkness at the end and has to overcome it. And one of the most tense and seat holding, like suspenseful scenes ever in the film. Number 7.
My number 7 is Sideways, which I've touched on a lot before, so I'll move on. It's my favorite Alexander Payne movie. It's my favorite Paul Giamatti performance. And it's funny when it has to be. It's serious when it's meant to be, and it doesn't wallow in self-pity.
Huh.
Makes me want to go on a wine binge.
I love wine, but that's besides the point. All right, my number 6, Rear Window. It is probably my favorite of Hitchcock's better-known films, and it's just the suspense is always building up, and it always keeps me interested. Like all of his films, I'm basically just saying what Hitchcock does, but I don't know. Rear Window is that one gem that I had really no problem with.
It's actually my favorite movie, Fizz.
We all agree on something.
I still gotta stick with Psycho.
Dude, my friend saw Psycho high, and I was like, why would you watch that high? It's a terrible movie to watch high.
Although I gotta say, I feel like actually I'm just gonna throw in an honorable mention, because I feel like even though Psycho's still my number 1, it's as I think more and more about it, Stranger Than a Train just keeps creeping up there, and I think it's the most underrated work.
Okay. So, For my number 6, I go from one Pixar movie to another, and this is my personal favorite Pixar movie, Toy Story 2.
Yes, he's on my side.
Damn it.
Yes. Yeah, I like this one because it's a much larger scope, new cast, and yeah, that's the reason. I think the reason I like it. It's a sequel. They went bigger, and also I think I think it's okay for me to admit this. The whole backstory for Jesse. Admit it. It's sad as hell.
I think that's sadder than anything they did in 3.
Yeah, I agree.
Because 3 feels like a rehash of 2 in some respects.
At least it ended the trilogy on a good note.
Until they make 4.
Let's pray they don't.
Yep.
I remain
Okay.
silent. Okay. My number 6 movie, continuing my horror movie love, is Halloween, which I think has my favorite horror movie villain of all time, Michael Myers. Just that pure white William Shatner mask just coming at you it's just the most terrifying thing ever. Just seeing Kirk just staring you down with just the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, and it's suspenseful in all the right ways that Hitchcock made his movie suspenseful, but it doesn't feel like an obvious Hitchcock imitation. It feels like it's its own thing, and it manages to, even though it does have the cliches of the genre, it was the first one to use those cliches, really, so I think everything works together well. It's a slasher movie that has class to it. It's not just the cheap throwaway exploitive movie, and I don't know, like, I think anyone who wants to make a slasher movie, just watch and rewatch and study this movie over and over again. This is how you do a slasher movie, not Friday the 13th, blood and guts kill fest. You make your characters relatable and sympathetic. You have a simple but effectively memorable villain, and you make it suspenseful. Don't rely on just over-the-top kill scenes.
And boobs.
You invent. I mean, well, there are boobs in this movie.
Yeah, but not compared to Friday the 13th.
I know. You get your audience to care about your characters. You invest the viewer, and it makes the movie even scarier. Believe it or not, if you actually just make the characters believable and relatable, it can be scarier and better. And also, I think it's also it does a great job of handling the whole "ooh, but he's not really dead" kind of thing, because it has that really, really creepy montage of all the rooms and the houses in the neighborhood, and you just hear his breathing in the background, like getting deeper and deeper, like he can be anywhere, and he's out there somewhere. 6 Halloween.
Well, if I wanted to take care of Michael Myers, there's one man I would call, and he carries a chainsaw and a boomstick. My number 6 is Evil Dead 2. Which is, I think, the funniest horror movie ever made. And not funny in a so bad's good way. It's a horror movie with very well-placed comedic elements. I mean, it's obvious Sam Raimi loves the Three Stooges because it's all over the place in this movie. And how Bruce Campbell didn't become an A-list star after this movie is crazy. I mean, that's not special effects. When he's flipping himself and when he's like hitting himself and when they put him up in that wire and he's spinning it around and screaming, "I want to kill somebody." It's so funny. And of course, it's gross when it has to be. I mean, there's a scene where a woman's eye comes out and it flies across the screen and it lands in somebody's mouth. And of course, I will look for any excuse to yell, "I'm okay. I'm okay." And yeah, it's so much fun. It's fun as hell. It's gory. It's everything I love in a horror movie, and holds a special place in my heart because I saw it on late night on cable when I was 5 years old. And after it was done, I said, I have just watched one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
At 5 years old, no less.
I think my favorite moment is actually when the headless corpse of his girlfriend comes busting through the door with the chainsaw, and then as he's fighting her, he manages to kick the chainsaw and it gets knocked back onto her like severed neck stump, and it's just blood just shooting everywhere. All
You got the
over
scene
his
where he
face.
cuts his arm off and he puts the book of Farewell to Arms.
Yeah.
Then the arm gets up and crawls away and it flips him off.
Who's laughing now?
So yeah, if you haven't seen this movie yet, what's wrong with you? Kevin?
Well, oh, sorry. All right. My number 5 is another Woody Allen film. Hannah and Her Sisters.
Yes.
My favorite Woody Allen movie.
Mine too.
Yay!
3 of us. Yay!
Honestly, with Woody Allen, he has the best characterization in his films. And he fleshes out the characters so well, given, like, usually the hour 40, hour 30 runtime. And what makes Hannah and Her Sister so great, it's like, it's comedic, but it tackles on, like, so many issues in terms of relationships, and especially the performances by Michael Caine and Mia Farrow. Yeah. So, it was weird seeing. The first time I saw this, it was weird watching Max von Sydow on this.
Yeah. Isn't he Deborah Winger's boyfriend?
Yeah.
Yes.
That was a strange pair up.
Yeah.
Okay, for my number 5, I'm going with The Iron Giant. I've already discussed this movie in our top 10 sci-fi films, but just to recap, it's a very underrated film, though apparently, as Augie mentioned in that list, a lot of people have seen it since, right?
Yeah, it's got a big cult following.
Yeah, it's just a classic. I mean, you can say The Incredibles was Brad Bird's homage to superhero films. You can kind of say this one was like, I don't know, 60s, 40s, I don't know.
50s.
50s, yeah.
50s, yeah. Yeah, it just works. And also, since I have 2 Brad Bird films on my list, I can tell you, like, again, he's one of my favorite directors of all time right now. I'd say number 2 for me on my top 5 favorite directors.
All right. Well, speaking of horror movies and chainsaws, my number 1 horror movie is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which kind of ironic because the hard to watch scenes in the movie don't even involve chainsaws at all. This movie, it's like a hammer to the head. Like, it's just
Literally. Literally.
Yeah, I know. But it really does. It feels like you just got like smacked around and you're just like thrown across the room in like every scene. It feels like the movie's like beating you down like into submission, but in a good way. Not in like a overly gratuitous, like, let's just make everything just the biggest and most disgusting gore show ever. It's done in a way that's effective and not cheap, and it has just enough of a tinge of exploitation to make it have that like gritty realism that makes it hit so hard. And that's, even though I love Halloween, I love Michael Myers, I think just that low budget grit and grime that you can just feel in every frame of this movie, and just watching all these actors just sweating their ass off in the sweltering Texas heat, it brings it that much closer to home. I think it feels that immediate and real. Texas Chainsaw number 5, and my favorite horror movie ever.
My number 5 is Amadeus, which is the story of Mozart, which was adapted from a Broadway show. It wasn't a musical. And what I love about this movie mostly is F. Murray Abraham, who's one of those actors who should have gotten a lot more work than what he did. And he always has this presence, and he owns this movie. It's all told from his perspective. And I with the most, Tom Hulse with the most annoying laugh in movie history. I mean, if you play that anywhere, everyone knows what it's from. Family Guy's made fun of it. I'm pretty sure Kevin Smith has a running joke about it, and it's really good. The attention to period detail, performances all around, and it's like an actual Mozart play. It builds, it builds, it builds. It's got this great payoff. It goes up, it goes down, and at a 3-hour runtime, it doesn't drag. And honestly, they released a director's cut, and it wasn't as good, which shows you can't change something that's already perfect. So yeah, I'm all set.
All right. My number 4 is something Augie has on his list, I'm assuming. Fight Club.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's that movie, yo. I first saw the movie when Augie recommended it to me, and I just downloaded it.
No,
I
you don't
don't
download
know.
Fight Club. You have to experience it.
Exactly. No, and I didn't love it right away. And it wasn't until I read the book and then rewatched the movie that I fell in love with the movie more, because the movie is that rare occasion where the movie is better than the book, in my opinion.
Oh. I have one of those. I have 2 of those on my list.
Even the author thinks it's better.
Oh, yeah, substantially. The ending is much better in the movie than in the book. But, I mean, everything is so great about it. It's David Fincher's directing, some of the comedic undertones over that whole, darkness that it's trying to, portray. It physically feels like it's all the darkness inside the narrator is what's being shown, or it's basically helps set the theme throughout the whole movie, or the mood. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I just like how they add in some little, witty quips in there to give you a good chuckle or two, but still maintaining that dark overtone.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I love Fight Club.
I have this book that's I can't find it right now, but it's called You Don't Know Fight Club, and it has just all these theories and analyses of it, and it's really interesting. It's really out there, but at the same time, it's really interesting. There's even one that compares it to Lord of the Rings. It's not
Really?
not in any obvious ways, but it like I said, it's pretty out there. But when you read it, you're like, okay. It's it has to do with how this person they really dig deep into the movie with a lot of what they say.
I should probably read that, because I still don't love the movie.
Yeah, it is really interesting. I haven't finished it.
I think it's really good, but it's one of those films I respect more than I admire. Mostly because there was a movie that came out a couple of years prior called Crash, that I think Fincher borrowed a lot of the filmmaking elements from. Not trying to bash it. I'm just saying I don't love it, mostly because it's not a film you can just pop in and watch.
Mm-hmm.
For me.
I'm not sure if that's the actual name of the book, but it's something like that. I'll have to look for it somewhere. But yeah, I highly recommend that.
Okay. My number 4 is the most recent on this list for me, the 2009 Star Trek reboot. And if I didn't explain this in our Star Trek Into Darkness review, I just love this film. I mean, I went in not knowing a damn thing about Star Trek, and now I actually prefer Star Trek now over Star Wars, believe it or not. Yes, you can kind of say the prequels. It's those prequels, but again, and if you want to do a prequel, even though this technically isn't one, this is how you do it, really. Because it's not a prequel, it's a reboot, because they created an alternate universe, and as risky as it is, it works because it allows them to do more stuff. And we'll just ignore the fact that for Star Trek Into Darkness they just brought back Khan, but yeah, that's our. You can just watch our review for that. But anyway, the casting is pretty much perfect. Namely, Chris Pine and Zach Quinto. They work together great. And something Matt pointed out in the Star Trek Into Darkness review is that this is pretty much Spock's movie, really.
Very true.
Yeah, pretty much is, really. I just love this film. I mean, it's not the best Star Trek film. You know which one is.
It's my third favorite.
What's the second?
First Contact.
Ah.
09 is my favorite.
That's only number 5 for me, actually. But this isn't the Star Trek list, so yeah. Star Trek 09, I love it.
Excellent.
Only
by the way,
only issue with the movie is Zoe Saldana. I didn't like her.
For me, it's that the main is actually the main villain, Eric Bana. I mean, he's not bad. It's just that he's not
I
that
thought he was
memorable.
better
But
than Benedict Cumberbatch.
I've never liked Zoe Saldana since Colombiana, because that film is a disgrace to my people.
but anyway,
Not Scarface.
Because the movie is more focused on the relationship between Kirk and Spock, I could forgive it. That's why I gave it like a 5 out of 5, even though, again, main villain kind of weak. But yeah.
Spock.
Spock. Oh yeah, one more thing.
Go ahead.
Leonard Nimoy cameo, which was it was awesome. Like it works because it's not distracting really. I mean, I think it works better than having Shatner in it.
Shatner. Yeah.
It works better
Yeah,
than anything they did in the second one.
I mean, yeah, you can argue, quick spoilers, that Nimoy also returns in the next one, but it works much better in the first film.
Before I talk about my number 4 movie, that book is called "You Do Not Talk About Fight Club." I am Jack's completely unauthorized essay collection. Anyway, my number 4 movie is, I'm sure many of you have already heard me talk about this many, many times before, and it's gone down my list, but it's still on there. My number 4 film is Terminator 2.
That's my honorable mention.
I've talked on no end on all these podcasts about this and why I love this movie. So I think most of you guys get the picture.
You're gonna kill me for saying this, but it's my least favorite of all the time.
No, don't do that to me.
No, not counting Salvation. Not counting Salvation.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We'll do
Salvation was better.
No,
really?
I will never say that.
I might have to dive through the screen and punch you.
No, because we'll do it. I think we have to do a Terminator show.
Yeah.
We should do Alien, Predator, and Terminator.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about also include the TV show too.
Which I wish that wasn't canceled.
Oh, so good.
My number 4 is, speaking of books to film, I was a big fan of the book before I saw the movie. I didn't know it was a movie until someone told me. And that's Trainspotting, which is one of my favorite books of all time as well. I remember before I saw the movie, I was looking at some of the promotion stills, and they had a picture of all the actors together. It was just Robert Carlyle, Ewan McGregor, and Ewan Bremner. It was like them mugging for the camera. And I was like, this looks awesome, and sure enough it was. It's my favorite Danny Boyle film. Some people say it glamorizes drugs. I don't see that at all. I think that's a stupid argument because
it does not at all.
You have a guy reaching into a toilet to get his suppositories because he was so strung out on the junk. And that scene with the toilet is actually not in the book. That was borrowed from a French film. And
that was the most famous scene in the movie.
Yeah, with Deep Blue on the soundtrack, which is, in my opinion, this is the best all-time movie soundtrack. You got Iggy Pop, you got Pulp, Lou Reed, and Lust for Life, which was a big hit in the 70s, but was even bigger because of this movie. They shot a new video, and it's a drug song.
Love that song.
And it's just, even though it's Ewan McGregor's movie, I think Robert Carlyle's the best thing in it. Robbed of a Best Supporting Actor nomination, in my opinion. He is so good in this movie, and people wonder why he's one of my favorite actors. Watch this movie, and it will show you why. He's basically the British Joe Pesci from Goodfellas, where it's like you say something bad about him, he'll just like beat the hell out of you. And you got it's funny that it has to be because you have Johnny Lee Miller doing his dueling Sean Connery impressions and his whole James Bond monologue when they're shooting the BB gun. You got Spud talking about how he crapped the bed, which it's disgusting, but it cracks me up so hard. And the beautiful Kelly MacDonald, who has been in a lot of good stuff, she's smoking hot in this movie. It's just it's so good. You got to see this movie. I can't recommend this enough. I actually like Trainspotting more than Pulp Fiction, believe it or not. And they're very similar actually.
I can see it.
They're very similar in how they're structured, even though it's not. It's linear. Something about the camera work, something about the use of music, the performances. It's just won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. Should have won Best Picture. can't believe it wasn't nominated because it was 10 times better than The English Patient.
Well, in honor of the great Robert Carlyle and the horrible, horrible alcoholic he plays in that movie, I am taking my first shot now as a 21-year-old.
Oh, yay. Go.
All right.
Good stuff.
Yo, Augie, this weekend, dude, I actually still have like a full handle if you're trying to party it up.
Excellent. We'll have to do that.
Yeah,
Although
man.
I do have to say my favorite scene in Trainspotting is when after Sick Boy comes to live with Renton and Bigby, and they're sitting around, they're eating fish and chips, and there's no TV, and he's just screaming out. He was like, "It was my fucking TV." And eventually he does do the right thing, which is what he's trying to do throughout the whole movie, and he gives Spud a piece of the money. And once again, doesn't glamorize drugs also because there's a trippy as hell sequence when he's in bed. And that's all I will say.
It's so hard to watch.
Best part of that scene where he shits himself into bed is when
It goes all over the place.
No. I was watching with John and like our neighbor who's like very sensitive, or like not sensitive, but like easily like gets queasy. He walks to our dorm as soon as she grabs the sheets and they're fighting and the shit goes all over everyone. It's the funniest thing to watch. Alright, so for my number 3 is a rare gem of foreign film that I actually love, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, The Spirit of the Beehive.
Nope.
Haven't seen it.
Actually, never heard of it.
You guys, it was made in the 70s, 73 I want to say, and it's like a story about a little girl who was shown the original Frankenstein and becomes fascinated with the whole like mythology of the character. So she basically is told about this one place where you can find like Frankenstein. He's usually there, or like basically that's where he's seen. So she goes with her like sister, and she's like so infatuated with the whole story that she just keeps on going and going, and like it's just so beautiful. And then there's like there in the end there's a scene where she actually like meets up with Frankenstein through a reflection on, and they go for a walk, and it's just so. Oh, you guys gotta watch it. The story is so great.
What's this called?
The Spirit of the Beehive.
All right, I just wrote that down.
It's got a Criterion Collection DVD. I'll definitely watch it.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Well, okay. So for number 3, let's talk about some Harry Potter now. So I could honestly put every film on this spot.
That's up my Diagon alley.
Diagonally. But anyway, I'm only putting one. It's my personal favorite, Goblet of Fire.
I am so happy Alex is not here.
Why?
He hates Goblet of Fire.
Because
we would disagree on that one.
Because his head would become a goblet of fire if he heard you say that.
Oh boy. Anyway, reason why 4 is my personal favorite is it's never dull. There's some really good dark twists. It's clear by this point you can call it the third one is the one I officially got to mark that more darker tone, but 4 did also a good job at doing this, especially when they introduced Voldemort at the end. Well, I don't say introduced, more like
They
have him
got the actor.
regain his body, introduce Ray Fiennes, who is of course excellent. And here's something I'm probably going to get slack for. This film also stars Robert Pattinson, who of course, as we all know, has gone on to much worse. He's honestly not that bad in this, actually.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he's not. Again, it's because it's better material than what he went to. And it's sad, really. The guy had to get stuck with crap.
He picked it.
Yeah. And yeah, Harry Potter Goblet of Fire, it's my personal favorite. I don't think it's the best. I think that's a tie between number 3 and the last one. But yeah.
3 is actually my least favorite.
Really?
Mostly because We did this. We did a Potter show, which I want to redo. We did commentaries, but I can't find them.
Definitely
They're on my
have to do that
computer. Mostly because tonally it's all over the place. Like I told Augie this when we were watching it. Like you notice how it starts off starts off funny, then he goes to the bus and he sees the dog, and that's creepy. Then he goes on the bus and it's funny again. Then he goes to see Fudge and it's funny again. Then he fights with the book. That's funny. Then all of a sudden he finds the Dementors. It just keeps going back and forth, and I don't think it works that well.
Well, I don't know.
5 is my favorite. 5 is my favorite.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire, personal favorite.
Kevin mentioned this already. My number 3 favorite movie of all time is Fight Club, for many of the same reasons he said, and it's a great blend of so many different genres. It's like an everything movie. It has a lot of comedy, it has some horror, it has some action, it has drama, it has
romance,
philosophy, it has psychology. What was the thing you said?
Romance.
It has a little bit of romance, just kind of really twisted and messed up romance in it too.
Well, look who he was sleeping with.
Yeah. Yeah, except she's not the craziest person in this movie.
She's the same one.
Exactly. It's ironic that Helena Bonham Carter plays the sanest person in this movie.
Yeah.
I love it. I love everything about it.
My number 3 is Spider-Man 2. Move on.
Alright.
I've taken my dick out to this movie enough.
Alright, my number 2, The Royal Tenenbaums.
Notice the uncomfortable silence.
And it's actually, behind Mr. Fox, it's actually my favorite Anderson movie.
Ditto.
And I think a lot considering you don't like Anderson.
Well, like I said, I love Fox and Tenenbaums. The other ones I'm kind of...
What about Moonrise?
Son. What?
What about Moonrise?
Moonrise I liked, but I didn't completely love.
I hate you. Now, The Royal Tenenbaums, what I like about it is the performances. Wes Anderson's whimsical world that he lives in just brings out so much. And one thing that I love about Wes Anderson is that he's not complex. If you see, he has those single shots that drag on, and he doesn't go too crazy with showing all these cool environmental or air shots or whatever. It's when people are talking, he has the camera just focused in for that conversation and doesn't do cuts between over the shoulder and stuff like that. He's always set on something. And the use of only primary colors in Royal Tenenbaums brings out more of a livelihood to it. It's more happy in a sense.
Yeah.
It's not too depressing considering the stuff that happens in the film. I'm personally a sucker when Gene Hackman dies at the end. But then you read that tombstone, it makes you laugh again.
Yeah.
Yeah, Royal Tenenbaums is my personal favorite Wes Anderson film. I think it is his best film to date. Second being Moonrise Kingdom. But it's that film that's it tells me, Owen Wilson, you had an Oscar nom, but then you're fucking up? Why?
Wait, Owen Wilson had an Oscar nom?
Yeah, he co-wrote Royal Tenenbaums with Wes Anderson. He
Oh,
got better.
well, I thought you were talking about acting, and I was like, what?
Well, he needs one.
Jim Carrey doesn't get one, but Owen Wilson does.
He wrote it, not for his acting.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
different.
Then again, Ben Affleck is an Oscar winner, and he's not exactly a good actor.
He won for Best Picture and Best Screenplay.
Yeah, we're still waiting on that second Oscar-winning script.
That's true.
Okay. For number 2, for me, it's a Disney film. It's my personal favorite Disney film, but I know, Matt, I don't think you hate this, but it's not...
I'm leaving the room.
What?
I'm leaving the room. Go.
Okay. Lion King. It's my
Jesus
personal
Christ.
favorite. Oh, come on.
I have
Come
a
on.
racist.
Oh, I hate
I'm
the
laughing
Lion
at his
King.
reaction.
I hate it.
I love it.
I have a theory that the Lion King is secretly racist.
It's not racist. It's a capitalist society. That's the circle of life. Look into it.
I see the complaint. I can see why some people complain. This is the one I've seen the most of any Disney film. It, for me personally, everything just works. Like, Hans Zimmer's score is one of the best film scores ever. Great atmosphere. Some pretty good songs. I don't think it's the best Disney song.
It's very
soundtrack,
inconsistent.
but I'm fine with every song. But yeah, well, Matt is going to disagree with me, but this is my personal favorite Disney film of all time. It just is.
Okay, I came up with this theory while working on Tribeca for Lion King. If you think about it, Jeremy Irons, British. Mufasa was voiced by James Earl Jones, black. The hyenas were all voiced by minorities. They're the only main characters to die.
The hyenas don't die. The hyenas don't die.
Hyenas don't die.
Who?
The hyenas don't die.
Remember they were like huddled up and then they got like...
No, they ate Jeremy Irons.
They killed Scar.
Yeah, they ate Scar.
What? I thought they got killed.
No.
They got exiled again.
You need to watch it at least 5 more times.
Yeah, like I have.
Yeah.
Only seen it once, and that's all I care to see it.
Revisit it.
Yeah.
You must.
Lion King.
I will, but when we move back into the house, I will watch it. So you could sit there and tie me down.
Do that commentary. My favorite, or not my favorite, my number 2 movie is, being the Star Wars person I am, despite my better judgment and common sense. My number 2 movie, and the reason why I'm still a Star Wars fan, is The Empire Strikes Back. I know it's only one movie, but I'm going to cling to that one movie. Well, really, 2 movies, but I will cling to this one in particular as the one that will say yes. Because Star Wars was a huge part of my childhood. It really, like, set me on the path for becoming a movie fan. And, of course, this one, it only gets better and better with age. I mean, it used to be my least favorite of all the movies.
Yeah, mine too. Mine too.
All of a sudden, when you get older, you're like, wow, I was really stupid back then because this movie is awesome.
I was like, what was I more pissed at? The fact that I thought this was the worst, or I thought Return of the Jedi was better?
There was a long period where I thought that, but I came around. Empire Strikes Back gets that number 2 spot easily.
My number 2 is my favorite comedy of all time. It's my favorite satire of all time. That's Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Gory movie.
In my opinion, the greatest comedic performance in history by Peter Sellers. And he lost out to Rex Harrison for a piece of shit called My Fair Lady. And he plays 3 people. He was supposed to play 4. He was supposed to play the Slim Pickens part, but he hurt his back doing something. And he makes each one of these characters different. And it's all funny. You get George C. Scott playing it so straight that it's hysterical. And apparently there's this infamous pie scene that they keep talking about where there was supposed to be this big pie fight at the end of the movie, but they cut it out. But my favorite scene is at the end where Dr. Strangelove gives this huge speech. And you can see George C. Scott cracking up. But they keep cutting away to not show him. And it's just funny. It's a really good satire of nuclear war. It shows how stupid people can be, politicians, world leaders. And, of course, Dr. Strangelove himself might be the greatest screen creation with the hand and the that accent, which I'm not even going to try to imitate. Awesome movie. Hope they don't remake it.
That's not going to stop them.
I think they would burn Hollywood to the ground if they remade that.
Yeah. Alright, my number 1, and I've said this before, and for me, my number 1 is always changing around. I remember there was a time when Back to the Future was my number 1, and right now my number 1 is Donnie Darko. The non-director's cut. The theatrical cut.
Matt,
That's
tamp her down.
No, I'm
the
fine.
only Richard
I'm fine.
Kelly film. The only good Richard Kelly film.
Yeah.
By a long shot.
I remember seeing Southland Tales. I was like, this is the guy who made Donnie Darko? What the hell happened?
He made the box.
Why is it your favorite movie?
Why? Because, like, the whole time, I am a big fan of time travel in terms of, like, the whole concept and the mythos behind it, and the way Donnie Darko uses it in terms of, like, it's like he's sent there on purpose and not through, like, one of those, like, fatal accidents that you've seen in other films, and, like, he's basically given one of those, like, life or death choices right now, like, who does he care about more, himself or his family, and what he has to do to, like, I don't know how to explain. Like, I've watched the movie so many times. Like, the whole concept is Donnie has to get transported to a different parallel and has to get the artifact, which is the falling plane engine, in order to, like, basically what I see is either pick his own life or his parents' life. And if he picks his own life, that means every good thing he had, he would go to waste, and then his parents would have everything good happen to them instead. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And Donnie Darko is just so dark and mysterious, and, like, I'm just infatuated and really fascinated with the whole Frank character. He's, like, my favorite movie character of all time.
You can see him in his previous work, Harvey.
I was just about to make that joke, damn it.
All I know is I'm going to be Frank for Halloween, so that's going to be awesome.
I'm surprised you haven't been Frank yet. Unless you have.
Listen, I've been the narrator. I've been Tom Cruise in Risky Business. I've been
Oh my God.
Did you walk around in your tidy whities?
I did.
Oh gee. I got 3 different costumes this year for 3 separate parties.
I was talking to somebody and they told me I should be the dude for Halloween.
I think everybody wants to be the dude for
Yeah, I don't want to be the dude, but everybody says I'd be the perfect dude, and I don't know why.
Johnson. Yeah, I got my 3. I got my Star Trek.
Johnson.
Got my Captain Kirk shirt. Got my Captain Kirk, the Governor, and Calvin Candy. That's my big 3.
Well, you know, if you're Calvin Candy, you're going to have to parade around and scream nigger every fucking minute.
Oh, I do that all the time. No, I'm kidding. More racist emails. We'll hold Mandingo fights at my house.
Oh, boy. Okay, okay, my number 1, which used to be Kevin's number 1, Back to the Future, which I've established before in our top 10 sci-fi list, but just to recap, I just love it because it's a brilliant mix of action, sci-fi, comedy, a little romance in there.
Mm-hmm.
Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd are both perfect. They work out together great. It's very quotable. Of course, 1.21 gigawatts, and then Marty just chimes in and says, no. When Marty chimes in and says, Doc, what the hell's a gigawatt? And obviously it's supposed to be gigawatt, but he says it like gigawatt. I actually thought that's how you say it.
Especially when he shows up in Piranha.
He skates into Doc's garage and starts playing the guitar with a big amp, but he gets blown away.
That was awesome.
There's that word again. Heavy.
What is that?
Something wrong with
That's
Earth's
like
gravitational
Bruce
pull?
Willis's cameo.
You're a slacker.
Just like your father.
I'm George McFly, and I'm your density.
Oh, I actually used that at a bar once.
Really? Oh, on.
I'll say the outcome. Say the outcome.
Did it
I
work?
ate her out. I got a handy.
What?
I ate her out. I got a handy just using that line.
Oh my god. I can't believe she fell for that. I would have hit her for falling for that.
She was a she was a movie buff.
So okay, yeah, it works.
I use the that's great. Did you know I'm utterly insane from American Psycho? And that works.
Yeah.
And,
Or the
okay.
Ron Burgundy the pickup.
Oh,
Great Odin's Raven.
yeah.
I want to get the Panther cologne.
60%
60%
of the time, it works every time.
Works every time. That makes no sense.
We were thinking about doing Channel 4 news team for Halloween. That was a question.
Yeah, we can all do that.
I'm doing a Royal Tenenbaums theme next year, I think.
Rick, where'd you get a hand grenade? I don't know.
I was just gonna make that joke.
Yeah, I stabbed the man in the heart. I saw that. Rick killed a guy. Rick, I've been meaning to talk to you about this for a while. You might want
What we're
to.
yelling about?
I read somewhere that their periods attract bears. The bears can smell the menstruation.
Okay. Okay. I think we're good there. But again,
Yeah.
Back to the Future. My number one. Augie?
Well, my number one, as it's been for a while now, is James Cameron's Aliens. It's both one of the best action movies and horror movies all in one, along with arguably the best female protagonist ever. One of the best ensembles ever, and it's not just an ensemble of recognizable actors. It's an ensemble of fun character actors who manage to create distinctive personalities for each one without tediously delving into their backstories like a lot of movies try to do. And it does what I think action movies should do. It's that to gradually just build you into it, just suck you into the world, then all of a sudden, bam, throw an action scene at you to startle you and, make you know, okay, the shit got real. And then just as it keeps going along, just build, and you just keep building, and don't stop building until you hit that climax. And that's what action movies should do, and that's what Aliens does perfectly.
It's a movie that should be taught in screenwriting classes about how to build your characters and a shitload of characters.
Yes.
You make them all this. Let's see. You got Ripley, Newt, Hicks, Hudson, Carter, Vasquez, Blake. No, not. I mean Drake. Gorman, Sergeant A. Pone. You got, and a lot of these actors. Lance Henriksen as Bishop.
Oh,
And
yeah.
a lot of these actors you don't get to see a lot, but when they do, and I'm sorry, you get to feel for these characters. Like Hudson, I was heartbroken when he got pulled through the rafter at the end.
I was, even though Hudson is like, personal favorite, I love Apone, because you know what, Al Matthews was the real Army Sergeant playing a movie Army Sergeant before Arlie Ermy did. So there,
I saw a funny edit where they put Damon Wayans from
as Apone.
Yeah, but they used clips from, what was that movie where he played the
Major Payne.
Yeah, they put that in between. It's like I will put my foot so far up your ass, the water on my foot will quench your thirst. And then they cut the Hudson looking at him like this.
Wake up, ladies and gents. Another glorious day in the Corps. Don't we just love the day in the Corps here? Hudson, get here. Get here. I love it. Can watch it every day. Never get tired of it.
Also one of the most quotable films.
Oh, yes. How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit? You secure
Game
that
over,
shit.
man. Game over.
Over. They mostly come out at night. Mostly.
Hey Vasquez, anyone ever mistake you for a man? No. Have you?
Have you?
So my number one, you shouldn't be surprised if anyone who knows me, it's Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese is my favorite director of all time, so it's my favorite movie of all time. In all honesty, Scorsese has never made a bad film, but the reason why this is my favorite is because he took the gangster genre and he totally did something different. He made something that was told from the small guys. It was something that it wasn't a family where everybody wore great suits and it was like business. This was all, it was down and dirty. It's a quintessential New York movie, along with Woody Allen, some Woody Allen stuff in the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, because it's both, it's a loving homage to New York, but it's kind of satirical in how the way some characters are used. It's pitch perfect acting across the board. Strong female character, which you don't get a lot in these gangster films. It's violent when it has to be, and Scorsese's not exactly one to shy away from violence. One of the best soundtracks ever, especially the cover of "My Way" by the Sex Pistols, which is one of my favorite cover songs ever in a movie. It's just awesome. Check it out. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I don't know what to say to you. Go out and see it. What are you doing? Right after this is done, go see all of our number ones. Actually, go see everything on this list.
Yes.
Yeah.
As you should. Well, most of these movies you should have already seen already, and if you haven't, shame on you.
I don't know. I think we picked some obscure ones.
Yeah, I know, but most of them.
Yeah.
Like, the big
Not my
ones.
list. Everyone's pretty much seen those.
Who hasn't seen movies from my list?
Sorry, Kevin. I think everybody